Não,
No?
cansaço de desleite.
Sorry. Why are you tired? I don't understand. Why?
Eu queria dormir mais.
Oh, okay. But you didn't go to school this morning.
Oh, teacher, deixa eu
Hmm.
contar. A minha escola tá sendo igual as outras escolas, por exemplo. Tá uma semana sim, uma semana não, sabe? Eu sou da semana B. Aí quem é da semana A vai ter que ir nessa próxima semana todinha. Aí na outra semana que é minha, né? Que eu sou a semana B, eu vou ter que ir. Mas por enquanto, nessa semana eu não vou precisar ir.
Oh, so they divided the students in weeks. So you have week A, week B, and week C. Is that it?
Mais ou menos, não tem a letra C, mas só vai ter o A e a B. Só.
Oh, okay. So you alternate. Okay. So you go every other weekend. Is that how you
Yeah.
do it? You go every other weekend. Oh, that's okay. That's nice. So you don't go this week, you go next week. Is that it?
Né,
Oh,
eu fui ontem, mas tipo assim, nesses 2 dias aqui, só vai ser nessa quinta e na sexta, vai ser apresentação de outras turmas, sabe?
oh,
Porque
okay.
tem que ser apresentação da minha turma.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it's a nice way to control the flow. It's a nice way. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Hi, Annalise. Good afternoon.
Hi, teacher. Good afternoon.
Good to see you. How nice. Good to see you today. So, are you ready? Yes, let's practice some more. Did you
Yes.
see the message I sent you there on WhatsApp? Yeah, practice makes perfect. Yes, very good. So let's see our class dojo page. Let's take a look there. Hey.
Hoje vai ter alguma coisa diferente, teacher?
Yes, yes, yes,
Um
we have
vídeo, um
something
jogo.
different. Yes, of course. Let's see, guys. Can you see the page on class dojo?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
good. Today we start a new unit. Yes, we start unit 12. So we are going to begin with new vocabulary, new words. So that's nice. So let me give you the points. Look, check out the results, guys. Look at how many points you have. Look, Pedro, 633 points. Ooh, Julia, 629 points. And Annalise, 643 points. Wow. If we translate the points into medals, because now we are in the Olympic Games, Annalise would get gold medal, Pedro would get silver, and Julinha would get bronze. Yes. Gold, silver, and bronze. So we have podium. This is a podium. Okay, perfect. But it's not over. The competition is not over. It's not over. We are in the last unit, but we still have a unit to finish. So there is a chance to change the picture here. Okay? Yes, Pedro, what's your question?
Porque as pessoas estão falando que a Olimpíada em Tóquio foi roubado.
I don't know. I don't know. I heard nothing about it.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi, Julinha. Good afternoon. Welcome. Good to see you. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it. I really don't know. I really don't know. So let's see the points for today, guys. Yay, congratulations, everybody present. So you get commitment points. Yes, enabling sound here. So let's do it. Yay. Great. And everybody gets double presents because today is Thursday. So congratulations. You see, guys, you're
Ô, teacher,
very close one to another. Yes, Pedro.
eu posso ali atender rapidinho o portão?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Are you watching the games, guys? Did you see the competition yesterday, the skate competition? It was a little late, I confess. I saw just a small part. I didn't watch until the end because it was very late. But I saw the beginning. The guys are very good, aren't they? Wow. They are really good on a skateboard. I think we got silver medal, didn't we? Yeah, I think we got silver. One of our skateboarders got silver. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got silver. Anyway, guys, back to our page here. Back to our page on Google Classroom. Today, we are doing the new unit, Unit 12, page 76. Isn't it good? Vocabulary. We're going to talk about places to live. Do you like where you live? Do you like your house? That's a good question. So let's minimize this. Take a look there, guys. Can you see the page? If you have your books, that's page 76. Are you happy with your house? Do you like your house or your apartment? Where do you live now, guys? Do you live in a house or an apartment? I live in an apartment.
I live in an apartment.
Apartments too? Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you, Pedro, where do you live? House or apartment?
Why? Eu cheguei agora, teacher. Why?
Where do you live? In a house or in an apartment?
In a house. Graças a Deus, eu vi o apartamento.
Oh, you live in a house. That's nice. Okay. And to you, Julinha, house or apartment? House or apartment? House or apartment? What do you think? Julinha? Oh, I think she can't hear me. Where do you live?
Eu não entendi. Fala de novo.
Okay, no problem. Where do you live? Do you live in a house or an apartment?
Na house.
Oh, how nice. Oh, that's great. That's really good. So here, the first question they ask is, what and where was your first home? Do you remember? What and where was your first home?
O que é isso? É tipo férias?
No, look. Home
tá.
is where you
Lá.
live.
Não, sim, entendi errado.
Home é lá,
Okay.
né, teacher?
Yes. So for example, my first home was here in Rio. It was in the neighborhood called, it was here next to Mayor. It was in Grajaú. Yes, I don't know if you know. Do you know Grajaú? Grajaú is next to Tijuca.
My first home is in Minas Gerais.
Was
In Minas Gerais. E era um apartment.
And it was
apartment.
an apartment. Wow, how nice. Very good. Oh, that's cool. Very nice, Julia. Are you from Minas or Rio? Where are you from? What are you from, Julia?
Minas.
Oh, how
Mineira.
nice. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's nice. What about you, Pedro? What and where was your first home?
Como assim, teacher?
My first home was in Grajaú, here in Rio. Julia's first home was in Minas Gerais. Her first one, okay, the first. What about your first home? Do you remember? Do you know? Did your mother tell you? Where was your first home?
Em Rio mesmo. Sempre foi minha primeira casa.
Okay, where in Rio? Campo Grande?
Campo Grande.
Okay, all right. What about you, Annalise? Where was your first home?
Rio.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
In Rio.
In Rio?
Yeah.
Okay, but in Rio Campo Grande or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Campo Grande.
All right. House or apartment?
Apartment.
Oh, all right. Okay, guys. So now I will show you some examples of interesting places to live. Okay. So let's take a look there. Let me show you that. Some houses are very interesting. Let me share just a second, guys. Can you see the screen? Yes? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
2 milhões numa casinha.
Yes, $2 million. But you're going to see, guys, it's really interesting. Let me just change the sound here to stereo so you have a better sound. So take a look at this.
Most people live in common and simple houses. Whether it's an apartment building or a cozy suburban house, you can find similar buildings on every part of planet Earth. But some people like breaking the rules and building unusual and even weird houses. Neighbors may laugh at them, but it means nothing to these creative people. After all, it's mostly just envy. But when these people look inside these houses, okay, let's not jump ahead. You better check out these houses with your own eyes. Let's get it on. Invisible house. Did you dream of having a tree house as a kid? Or maybe you did have one. The creators of the Swedish hotel complex Tree Hotel, inspired by this idea, created several comfortable tree houses where you can stay as if you were in an ordinary hotel. The most curious room is known as the Mirror Cube. It is a surprising hideaway, nestled between trees and camouflaged with mirrors reflecting the surroundings.
I'm right here, detective.
The forests, the clouds, the whole landscape is mirrored on each wall of the cube, making it virtually invisible. If you're worried about the birds that could crash into the invisible house, we have good news. The hotel is covered with an infrared film, which can only be seen by birds. While for us humans, the walls of the cube are just a mirror, the treehouse can only be accessed via a suspension rope bridge. This unique and exclusive room features a double bed, a small bathroom, and a terrace. Inside, the mirror cube is decorated with birch plywood. 6 windows in different parts of the room offer a great view. Overall, it is the ideal treehouse for adults. In case you get bored looking at birds and squirrels, you can always connect to the free Wi-Fi. River house. After seeing this house, introverts or people who live in big cities and are tired of the noise will probably dream about it at night. This unusual wooden house is built on a rock sticking out of the water in the middle of the Drina River in Serbia. At first glance, it seems that the house ended up in the middle of the water by accident, maybe because of a flood or a hurricane, because no one in their right mind would build a house on a rock, would they? However, the house was put up here in 1968 by a group of friends for their summer vacation. They usually got to the house by swimming, despite the Drina's fast current. At first, they built a kind of canopy on the island, but then they came up with the idea of building a house. The big boards were simply sent downstream. The rest of the materials were delivered by boat, and after a while, a beautiful house appeared on the rock. The fluctuations of the water level destroyed the house several times, but it has always been rebuilt because it has become a worldwide renowned local attraction. And all thanks to Irene Becker, who took a photograph of Drina House in 2012. Her photo was selected by the National Geographic website as the best photo of August that year, and since then, this place has become popular among tourists. House on the roof. What can you do if you want to build the mountaintop house of your dreams, but you don't have a place to do it? A Chinese man named Zhang Lin found a very peculiar way to make his dreams come true. He decided to build his mansion on the roof of an apartment building in Beijing. First, Lin bought a penthouse, and in the span of 6 years, he brought tons of rocks and rubble to the terrace to create a small mountain on the top. Finally, he did build a mountaintop house at the top of the building, but Lin didn't even think about asking for a construction permit. Terrible mistake. Residents of the building constantly complained about the noise and debris coming from the site. In addition, cracks appeared in the walls, the roof began to crumble, and some residents' apartments were flooded when it rained. As a result, Lin was ordered to demolish his villa because it posed a threat to the integrity of the building. Due to the weight of the stones, it could have collapsed at any moment. Underground houses. The majority of Australia's population lives on the coast, near water and trees, but there are people who don't mind settling in the desert. However, the heat here is unbearable. There are sandstorms and not even a shred of shade. So, how can someone live in these conditions? The people at Kuba Pedi, where opals are mined, have the answer. The locals have built underground houses for more than a century. This is how they managed to keep the temperature in their homes at around 22 degrees Celsius without using air conditioning. Of course, you can find common houses, which use modern technology in Kuba Pedi. However, many locals still prefer underground houses, but not only out of respect for tradition. This standard house with 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom can be dug out on a hillside at a price similar to a normal house, and you won't have to spend money on air conditioning. After the city became popular among tourists, even underground hotels with all the amenities were built here. House on the water. When this couple of Canadian artists realized that they would never earn enough money to buy a house with their art, they decided to build a house with their own hands. The result was a unique island house surrounded by a garden. The floating home was created by Catherine King and Wayne Adams and is known as Freedom Cove. It is located on a lake in the Canadian province of British Columbia. It takes 45 minutes to reach the nearest city by boat. Wayne is proud of having built the house using only a saw and a hammer without the help of power tools. Construction began in the early 1990s. Today, the 12 interconnected floating platforms hold different creatively painted rooms, as well as a garden, a workshop, sculptures, an art gallery, and even a dance floor. By the way, there's also a lighthouse, which also serves as a shower, because every inch of the island is used to its fullest. Freedom Cove is an excellent example of eco-friendly living. Its owners recycle all their waste, grow their own food in greenhouses and fish. In summer, they drink water from coastal waterfalls, and in winter from snow and rain, and electricity is supplied by solar panels. Hobbit Town. Another ecological and very unusual house can be found in Wales. Jasmine and Simon Dale created a real hobbit house, although their original plan was to simply build an eco-friendly home. The unique house, which would be the envy of any hobbit, was built in just a few months. Simon and his father-in-law were in charge of the project, and about 1,000 people came to help them. In the end, they all had so much fun that they started building similar houses in the area. Simon Dale is now in charge of many projects, helping others turn their homes into a fairy tale.
At the end of every day, I could sit back and see the thing that we've made and know where the piece of wood had come from.
But the couple didn't limit themselves to creating an eco house. Simon and Jasmine grow almost all the food they eat, and they are absolutely happy. Plane house. Bruce Campbell lives on an airplane. No, he's not an actor, and it's not a figure of speech. Bruce Campbell, a 69-year-old American engineer from Hillsboro, Oregon, bought a second-hand Boeing 727-200 for $100,000 over 15 years ago and turned it into his dream house. Of course, Bruce had to get rid of the seats to build a bedroom, a living room, and an office inside the plane. In addition, he prepares breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the former crew kitchen. Campbell had to modernize the old bathroom and install a shower. However, not everyone considers living in such a house to be particularly cozy, because after all, it is a plane. Nobody would decorate their living room like an aircraft, right? But Bruce doesn't agree, because his house is functional and comfortable. Many people visit Bruce to see and admire the unusual house in the state, and he enjoys arranging tours for his guests. To get inside the airplane house, you have to go up the stairs at the end of the aircraft. The place is surrounded by a tidy lawn, which is regularly mowed by the owner. It looks like the front yard of any suburban house. Bruce also removes fallen leaves and other debris from the wings, which looks somewhat funny, to be honest. Houseboats. In the south of England in West Sussex, there's a village of floating houses. Sometimes they look more like houses stuck in the mud by the tide, but who cares? Each boat is made of spare parts from old buses, rockets, and planes, which makes them all unique. No houseboat here is like any other. Hamish Mackenzie stands out among community members. This houseboat restorer combined his creativity with his love of fooling around to create a truly remarkable home. Or rather, several houses, because Hamish owns 7 boats. He uses a microwave as a mailbox. He can play music with a saw, and many people would call him a weirdo. Who else would have the nose of a plane in their house? Well, apart from Bruce Campbell from the previous video, of course. Hamish moved here more than 30 years ago when he was living on the street. Friends told him about the boats, and he was thrilled with the idea of living in a floating house. Now Hamish has everything he's dreamed of, and he clearly dreamed of many things. For example, of windows made of tractor wheels. Because why not? Hey, stop being lazy, it's time to use that brain of yours. Welcome to Brain Time. Incredible facts from the past, the present, and even the future. The power of nature and wild animals, amazing facts and unsolved mysteries. You'll find all this and much more here. Subscribe now, you won't regret it.
Very nice.
Yeah, these houses are really crazy and they're too messy, I would say. Don't you think they're too messy? Yeah, especially the last ones, right? They look disorganized and messy. I wouldn't like to live in them. The first ones, they are so-so. I like the aircraft house a little bit more, but I wouldn't like to live in them. I wouldn't like to live in an aircraft. But yeah, visiting would be nice. That would be interesting, but not living in there. Which one did you like most? Which of the crazy houses here did you like most? Do you remember the tree house in the beginning?
Yeah.
Which they called the transparent house, the glassy house that you can't see from a distance. Oh, that's interesting.
E uma forest em cima de um apartment.
Yeah. Yeah, remember that on the roof of a building, the guy, he wanted to have a mountain house, and since he lived on a building, actually, he decided to create a mountain house on the roof of a building. That was radical. That was really crazy. I didn't like that one, but I liked the tree house. The tree house was cool. That was okay. There is another one I separated for you. This one is crazy because they show 15 risky places where people decide to live. They are really dangerous. Nowadays, here in Rio, for example, there are places where people live and we consider them dangerous. Can you give me some examples of dangerous places where people live in your city? Can you tell me some of those places?
No.
Here in Rio, you know them. You know them. Which places are really dangerous here in Rio? And people,
In
Place.
communities. Tipo,
yes, in communities. Very good. People live in communities and they are very dangerous. That's true. People build houses on hills. Haven't you ever seen that? Let me show, yeah. Let me show you a picture of dangerous places where people build houses. I want to show you the picture. This is really scary. And this is something that tourists, they enjoy taking pictures of that. And they show this everywhere because this is so crazy. It's like one house on top of the other. Can you see the images? Look at this.
Yes,
Look.
teacher.
Yes.
Caiu uma em cima da outra.
Yeah, this is the example we have here in Rio. The hills, they have houses like that, one on top of the other.
E é muito apertado, teacher. Como é que a gente vai poder sair dessas casas, hein?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Claustrofobia.
Yeah, they are too close to the other, and they are too vertical, and they are like on a cliff. They are built on a cliff. Like this one here, you can see, look how crazy. This is dangerous. The image is not very clear because it's downloading, but when it comes out, you will be able to see there. Yeah, now you can see. Can you see now? So this is like a hill, okay? It's like a mountain, okay? But we call it a hill. And the houses they are built on the cliff of the hill. Like,
Teacher,
this is so crazy. Yes, Pedro.
essa notícia apareceu lá nos Estados Unidos, Washington.
Yes, this is a newspaper, the Washington Post.
Aí quem vê, teacher, acho que aqui só tem essas favelas.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Look, Brazil's densely packed favelas brace for coronavirus. It will kill a lot of people. Because they were talking here about the coronavirus outbreak in Brazil and showing that the chances of surviving coronavirus here in Brazil were very, very small because too many people live together. Too many people live close together in the communities, in the favelas, right? So that's why a lot of people got infected. Okay. So these are dangerous places to live. Okay. There are lots of pictures of constructions like that. So look. Yes, this is another image of the same situation. Okay. Look, This was also from another newspaper. This one is Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is a newspaper from the Middle East. Okay, look.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rio de Janeiro in the shadow of the hill. So hill is the name of, geographic name of this kind of elevation. Okay, guys, and this is where they build. Here we have, look, the houses and the way they are built. Okay, so I will show you now another video of houses in risky places, okay? Or in dangerous places, very dangerous places. And I don't know how people can build a house in such a dangerous place. So let's take a look there. People like adventure. I don't know how. But anyway, some people choose to live like that, but some people don't have a choice. Like the people from our favelas, they live there because they don't have anywhere to go. But other people, they simply choose to live like that.
We all know that feeling when we hear something go bump in the night.
Let me just try to put full screen, just a second.
Is it a burglar, a ghost, Mothra? Well, no. We usually reason it's just the house making weird noises. Nothing to worry about. But what if your house isn't there to protect you from the outside, but is in fact more dangerous than anything out there? From the house that just keeps on growing to the home stuck way up high on the side of another building. Here's the 15 riskiest houses in the world. Number 15. Saryajin House. When something doesn't look quite how you want it, try adding a little more, and a little more, and then maybe just a little more until it's just right. That's what Russian businessman Nikolai Saryajin did after he began building his own perfectly normal two-story wooden house in Arkhangelsk. Only the 2 stories didn't seem quite right, so he added 3 more stories to the house and decided that made it look like a mushroom. So he just kept on adding and adding. Only Saryajin hadn't bothered to ask for a building permit or even bothered with any kind of plans. Just jumping up there and throwing on another layer seems to have been the strategy. By 2007, 15 years after he began building, the house had 13 stories and was over 140 feet tall. Saryajin, however, found himself in trouble with the law and was jailed for racketeering, meaning the house fell into disrepair. The authorities, maybe already kind of unhappy with our crazy builder, decided it was a fire hazard and pulled down the huge tower and most of the top floors, leaving just a regular 2-story building, like the original idea back in 1992. Then, sadly, even that burned to the ground once and for all. Well, I guess he could just start all over again. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button and click the notification bell right now, or Slenderman will come from under your bed when you're sleeping. Time for the rare topic. How about this for a relaxing vacation home? You've got a pool, an ocean view, and of course, the all-important sensation of just hanging off a cliff face. Is this the dream of the kind of person who likes to lock their Sims in a room with 10 fireplaces and no doors? Or would you actually feel pretty relaxed here, taking a swim, looking down to the ocean crashing over the rocks below through your neat telescope? We're not sure where this house is based, but after this photo was sent to us, we knew one thing for sure. We would never be confident enough to live here. We just couldn't sleep.
This house is crazy, isn't it?
Yes, very
Yes.
dangerous.
Medo do negócio cair.
Imagine, guys.
Sim.
Imagine.
E aquela rocha ali, Titi, é antiga, parece que nem vai aguentar. Se eu botar mais uma perna em cima, eu acho que quebra.
Yeah, imagine, guys, you were here in the swimming pool and then suddenly, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. I don't know how. I don't know.
Imagina, teacher.
It's really crazy. This is out of, I don't know, man. This house is risky. Unbelievable. And this is the way to
E se
get it.
acontece alguma tempestade?
Oh, imagine. Imagine a storm, all the wind hitting the house, and
Uhum.
wow, it must be very cold. It must be extremely cold. Wow, can't even imagine.
Without thinking it would slide off the cliff. What about you? Could you sleep here comfortably? As always, comment down below with the hashtag #RareTopic and let us know your opinion in relation to what we just showed on screen. Let's move on to the next one. Number 14. Wazoko Apartments. The Dutch are the masters of making the best use of a small place and knowing how to expand that space too, since a pretty significant amount of the Netherlands' land area has been reclaimed from the sea over the years. The apartments were built by the architecture firm MVRDV, and they were given a particular remit to build an apartment block which would house elderly residents while allowing good lighting and especially access to a certain green space, which would be bathed in sunlight during warmer months. However, once the plans had been drawn up and approved, the client changed its mind and decided that an extra 13 apartments would be needed, bringing the total to 100. Normally, this would simply require the architects to add yet another story to the building, but doing this would have completely blocked sunlight from the garden space. So the architects came up with an unusual solution, attaching the extra 13 apartments to the outside of the building, hanging off the sides like badly placed blocks in Tetris. This innovation hugely increased the budget, meaning the 13 extra apartments were built with cheap materials, and so noise insulation and other priorities were sacrificed. Not to mention the fact you are practically floating in midair up in one of those things. Number 13. China's Hanging Monastery. Unlike Holland, China has plenty of space, being the world's fourth biggest country by landmass. And while there's a lot of people living in China today, this crazy hanging monastery was built back in the 5th century, when the population of China was around 50 million, about the same as modern Spain. And yet, with all that vast expanse available, a monk named Liao Ran decided to build his monastery on a cliff face. The impressive architectural feat lies 40 miles or 60 kilometers southeast of the city of Datong in the Shanxi province, and it is truly a wonder of the world. Built into a mountain crag, the monastery accommodates 3 different religions. Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism are all represented in statues through the temple's incredible 40 rooms, all linked by a maze of passages. The monks bored holes into the cliffs and inserted strong poles, which have held the monastery in place for 1,500 years, although major restorations were carried out in the year 1900. Hey, gravity, is that the best you can do? Number 12. Cliff Village, China. Staying with China, and in fact, staying with cliffs, we have another residence which laughs in the face of vertigo. The small and ancient village of Atuller lies 2,600 feet, or 800 meters, up the side of a mountain in the province of Sichuan. This isolated and impoverished community's only contact with the wider world lies at the bottom of 17 connected ladders, made of rattan, which lead down the steep mountainside. The journey down with no handrails or any kind of safety measure is particularly dangerous in wet or snowy weather, and children as young as 6 make the journey once a week to attend the boarding school in a town near the foot of the mountain. The journey down takes 90 minutes, and going back up a full 2 hours. People have slipped and
Did you see that, guys? You have to travel like 90 minutes up and 2 hours down the stairs to go to school. Did you see that? That's crazy. That's really crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine how
My
many.
goodness.
Yeah, my goodness. If you want to go to school, you have to go up the stairs for more than 1 hour. Much more. Look,
Sai 4 horas da manhã, né?
yeah. Imagine you have to leave home 4 o'clock in the morning to arrive at school around 7. So you can.
E também, teacher,
It's crazy. Look,
sempre tem aqueles bullying.
sorry.
Sempre tem aqueles bullying, aqueles meninos que ficam com aquela
Yeah.
brincadeira de mau gosto, aí fica querendo te empurrar lá de cima.
Yes. Imagine using the feet to, push you down. Come on, get out of my back. I don't like you. Or stuff like that. I imagine. So one behind the other, slowly climbing the stairs. It's really dangerous. Imagine when it's raining. Like they say here, look, particularly dangerous in wet temperatures, wet days, in wet soil, especially when it's raining. Because imagine, guys, when it's raining, it gets slippery. Of course, the steps get slippery, but they have to go. So this is crazy. This is hardcore. Hardcore indeed. Take a look.
Wet or snowy weather, and children as young as 6 make the journey once a week to attend the boarding school in a town near.
So children under 6, they make the journey once a week to attend boarding school. So children under 6, it's crazy.
The steep mountainside. The journey down with no handrails or any kind of safety measure is particularly dangerous in wet or snowy weather, and children as young as 6 make the journey once a week to attend the boarding school in a town near the foot of the mountain. The journey down takes 90 minutes, and going back up a full 2 hours. People have slipped and fallen to their deaths on numerous occasions, and finally photographs of the situation made it to the mainstream news in China, prompting an outcry and the development of a modern stair structure to make the journey less dangerous.
Okay, so the journey down takes 90 minutes and back up 2 hours. It's the other way around of what I was saying, okay? So it's a long trip. It's a long trip, guys. So young children, like 6-year-olds, right? They do that like once a week to go to school. That's hard work, really. So pictures were taken of what happened, and then they have tried to improve the situation, and then they have created a modern stair structure to make the journey less dangerous. So apparently things have improved. We don't know, but this is what they say here.
Furthermore, Atular has become an increasingly popular tourist destination, and the new interest in the village and its surroundings are beginning to pull the village out of poverty. Just don't get all the way to the bottom and realize you left the oven on. Number 11.
Wow.
Liechtenstein Castle. Liechtenstein Castle is situated in the southwestern German state of Baden-Württemberg, and although this little castle is not the most famous in Germany, it's certainly one the locals are proud of, resembling a fairy tale castle of the kind you might imagine medieval knights would have inhabited. It is in fact constructed much more recently than that, in the mid-19th century. Although it looks relatively cute and cozy for a castle, there's plenty of historic weapons lying around in case things get a little heated with the neighbors. The castle was built by a wealthy German after reading a book about an imaginary castle called Liechtenstein Castle. He chose to build it directly on top of the ruins of another castle which really was built for medieval knights way back in the year 1200. The original castle was a little more risky to live in than its modern equivalent, being destroyed and rebuilt twice before finally falling into ruins. So if you ever decide to take a visit to this castle, better hope the invaders don't show up to sack it a third time. Otherwise, find out where the suits of armor are kept. Number 10. Lake Kivu. This entry isn't so much one house, rather any one of the houses in which the 2 million or so people who live around Africa's Lake Kivu inhabit. Lake Kivu is one of Africa's Great Lakes, and it lies between the countries of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's a pretty big lake, and the 18th deepest in the world. But it's what lies below the bottom of the lake that makes living near Kivu extremely risky. The Swahili-speaking locals call it Mazuku, which means evil wind. But in English, the evil wind is plain old methane, and it's been wreaking havoc near the lake for generations. Scientists describe the situation as like a corked champagne bottle, just about ready to blow. And once in a while, warning shots are fired. In 1984, 37 people died after being cloaked in a poisonous, burning white gas coming from the lake. US military scientists, fearful of chemical weapons testing, went to investigate and discovered the gas was leaking from Lake Kivu. 2 years later, 1,700 people died in another small eruption. The lake is believed to explode about once every 1,000 years and is overdue a blast. A blast which, when it happens, could be more devastating than a nuclear strike. The Rwandan government has begun a process of drilling and extracting the methane to relieve the pressure, with the added benefit of a new and cheap energy source for Rwandans. But the extraction of the gas will take many years, and until then, the millions of people living nearby will wake up every day wondering, is it going to be today? Number 9. Korowai Treehouse. This particular entry on the list probably looks more intimidating than it really is. While the idea of living in a treehouse that is as high as the Statue of Liberty sounds pretty terrifying, this amazing structure is actually very robust and well built, and designed to keep its inhabitants safe from all the many other dangers surrounding them. The treehouse is on the sparsely populated and mountainous island of southeastern West Papua in New Guinea. The Korowai people made first contact with the outside world only in the 1970s, when Christian missionaries explored the island. What they discovered was this astonishing architecture, which protected up to 20 tribespeople and their animals from a forest infested with giant spiders, venomous snakes, and lethal insects. Furthermore, the tribes here are among the last in the world to practice cannibalism, and the treehouse is rigged with a simple warning system, letting the occupants know if any hungry-looking rival tribes were climbing up. Since the discovery of the tribe, major exploitation of the forest has begun, and numbers have dwindled to only 4,000, with people leaving to live in modern cities or dying out due to destruction of the surrounding forest. Number 8. Puna, Hawaii. The district of Puna on Hawaii's Big Island is home to Kilauea, one of the world's most active volcanoes. The volcano was in continuous action from 1983 to 2018, and people living in the vicinity have been under constant threat from lava flows. In that time, lava flowed into 10% of the district's surface land, destroying 190 buildings and homes, as well as flowing spectacularly into the sea. You'd think this would put people off moving to the area, but the understandably low property prices in Puna have led to just the contrary. a serious population explosion, if you'll forgive the pun. These new residents have plenty to deal with, not least the difficulty obtaining home insurance. The geothermal power plant, which powers a portion of the island, had its wells plunged with mud and cold water in 2018 as it threatened a huge gas explosion as the emissions of sulfur dioxide hit 15,000 tons per day. It's not just safety concerns that have the islanders worried. Natives have long feared the repercussions of building on lands believed to belong to the fire goddess Pele, who is said to live on the volcano. If Pele gets annoyed enough, it might be the last time some Hawaiians get to see their homes without a fiery lava flow running through them. Number 7. Elethe, Iceland. Iceland as a nation is already remote enough, a population of a little more than 350,000 people. That's the equivalent to a city somewhere between Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Living on a volcanic island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean is already kind of out of the way. But for a family back in the 18th century, this just wasn't far enough from the mass of humanity. So they decided to build a house on an otherwise deserted island known as Elethe. There's no doubt something highly mysterious and fascinating about this strange house sat all alone on a tiny island, and even Icelanders know little about its occupants. Records show that several families have lived there since its construction, although it has been officially unoccupied since the 1930s. That hasn't stopped all kinds of speculation about who might be living there in secret, including rumors that Iceland's most famous musical star, Björk, has taken possession of the house. Other rumors suggested that a wealthy man built the house many years ago as a safe place to hide in the event of a zombie apocalypse. Life in the house would have been hard and dangerous, a never-ending struggle for food and water, relying only on the natural supply of fish and puffin meat, and completely cut off from the mainland in bad weather. No running water, electricity, or plumbing are other disadvantages, but it does come with its own sauna and some spectacular nature. Number 6. Mount Wachia. There are some cultures in the world that are known for their love of tea. England, Turkey, Morocco, and Ireland are some of the biggest consumers, and a lot of the tea drunk in those countries comes from China, who are the #1 producers of tea. How much, though, could a person love tea? Enough, say, to visit a tea house situated on top of one of the most dangerous hiking mountains in the world? Well, that is exactly what awaits hikers at the top of Mount Hua's tallest southern peak. The mountain is one of China's 5 sacred mountains, and followers of the Taoist religion believe that the god of the underworld resides within the mountain, and it certainly has a fearsome reputation. The first temples were built atop it in the 2nd century, designed to test the mettle of monks who would be rewarded with enlightenment and tea on reaching the top. Even to this day, climbers make their way across terrifying narrow planks, and often at night, as it makes it less frightening when you can't see how rickety and narrow the path you are taking is. Some parts are only wide enough for one person and traverse sheer cliff faces. Better hope you don't meet someone on their way back down, or things could get awkward. In any case, better check the Yelp reviews of the tea house before going up.
Guys, I would never go to this place. Would you go there, guys? Would you have the courage to go there just for the tea? I wouldn't, really. Would
Você me
you?
lembra a Pedra da Gávea.
Yeah, but it's completely different. Did you see the way up? Did you see the way to get there? It's really narrow, Pedro. It's really narrow.
Medo de passar por isso, ainda cheio de pessoas junto.
Yeah. And
É estreitinho tão pequenininho, um monte de
yeah,
pessoas junto.
Bastante apertado, até
exactly.
nervoso.
Yeah, exactly what they say here. Look, narrow. Narrow is like estreito in Portuguese. Narrow, extremely narrow. Only one
Very
person.
narrow.
Yes, super. Only one person at a time, and a lot of people together. So it's crazy because if you try to pass, you can fall You can fall off the cliff, and this is death. There is no salvation. Look, this is so crazy. And why do people go there? Why is it so famous? Because of the tradition, and because when you get to the top, you can have the sacred tea that you drink when you get there, because the mountain is famous for, first, the god that they believe lives there, and also because of the tea. Do you understand the meaning of tea? Coffee and tea.
Yeah.
So when they arrive, when they get there, they drink some kind of tea there, and they think it's the best tea in the world. Guys, really? Yes. Guys, I like tea. I like tea. I like coffee. I like tea, but I would never climb this mountain to drink tea. Never. Even if I loved tea with all my heart, I would never climb this mountain for the tea. Never. These guys, they go there only for the tea. Yes. And by the way, yes, it's not for the coffee. No, it's not for the coffee. It's for the tea. It's for the tea. Yeah,
Subiu o
yeah.
morro todo só por causa de chá, teacher.
Yes, Pedro. Yes. Only
Deus
for
me
the
livre.
look at the place they have to go through.
Nem pra
Very-
ser uma pizza ainda.
It's not a pizza, Pedro. No, it's not a pizza. It's not chocolate. It's not a hamburger. It's not a hot dog. No, it's for tea. Only tea. Nothing
Chá tá lá
else.
em casa.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, they just go there to get some tea. There is a tea house on the top. There is a special tea house, and they want to get that special tea. I would never do that.
Top it in the 2nd century, designed to test the mettle of monks who would be rewarded with
Look.
enlightenment and tea on reaching the top. Even to this day, climbers make their way across terrifying narrow planks, and often at night, as it makes it less frightening when you can't see how rickety and narrow the path.
Here they say, yeah,
Deus me livre.
crazy. And they say here that they do this often at night. At night. Sometimes, yeah, without looking, without seeing. Imagine. just touching on, I don't know, touching the rail, the rocks. They, they want to get there. They want to arrive. So it's like a kind of, I don't know. It's like a promise they make. I don't know. This is crazy. This is too much.
You are taking it. Some parts are only wide enough for one person and traverse sheer cliff faces. Better hope you don't meet someone on their way back down, or things could get awkward. In any case, better check the Yelp reviews of the tea house before going up. Imagine finding out it sucked after making it all the way up. Number 5. Falling Water House. Falling Water House, built over a running waterfall in rural Pennsylvania, is often cited as one of America's greatest architectural masterpieces. It was built by Frank Lloyd Wright, America's most famous architect, in 1935, and it is considered one of his finest works. at least in terms of its modernist beauty. So, with this pedigree, what could go wrong? Well, it turns out the great architect did not pay much attention to detail when it came to the structural side of Falling Water, as he did with its aesthetic appearance, meaning Falling Water House was in danger of becoming Falling Down House. Wright found himself at odds with his engineering about the best way to support the house, and eventually overruled the engineer. By the 1990s, the pinnacle of modernist design was beginning to severely sag, and the beams were under increasing pressure as the house, a popular tourist destination, began to resemble another architectural masterpiece, the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Finally, in the 2000s, the $11 million needed to repair the house without altering its appearance was raised, and years after a complex restoration was completed, it seems to be holding together. Just don't jump up and down too hard on some of those overhanging floors. Number 4. Meteora. The Meteora is a rock formation in Greece, and the word means high up. You know, like a meteor. And they are pretty high up, so that begs the question, why build on top of these peaks when there's plenty of, normal ground all over the place? The buildings on top the Meteora rocks are monasteries from the Eastern Orthodox Christian Church.
It is located in the heart of mainland Greece.
And a little like the temples in China, they were designed to be extra challenging, so only the most faithful could ever reach them. Also, the monasteries were built during the 14th century as Greece was invaded by Muslim Turks, and the Greeks figured it was a good way to protect their religious sites from the invaders. In the 1920s, steps were carved into the rock, making life a little easier for the monks, but until then, the only way up was via rope ladder, which were unfurled from the top. And just to make things that little bit more crazy, the ladders were only replaced when God chose to break them, meaning each time a monk went up, he must have been praying pretty hard God wouldn't decide to plunge him to his death this time. Number 3. Habitat 67. If Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water House was designed to harmonize with the nature surrounding it, Israeli architect Moshe Safdie's Habitat 67 was designed to do almost the opposite.
Look.
An example of what is called brutalist architecture, these stacked cells in Montreal, Canada, were unveiled in 1967 as a vision of a utopian, socialist future for the people of Quebec. The idea was affordable housing, which offered space and light, as well as maintaining a form of high-density living for a growing city. 160 homes are scattered across the 13-story building, which today attracts wealthy Montrealers looking for a place of architectural authenticity. Not exactly the affordable utopia Safdie had envisaged. This is because structural issues, now mostly repaired at great expense, caused the apartments to become unsafe and even deadly. The building's concrete needed constant repair, and one former resident, who prefers to remain anonymous for fear of offending the radical supporters of Habitat 67, said he soon moved out after developing a serious lung condition and seeing his cat drop dead. This was due to poor ventilation, allowing mold spores to spread wildly. But there are some upsides. Every home has access to a garden built on the roof of an adjacent cube, which is more than can be said for most tower blocks. It still stands today, and for a thick wedge of Canadian dollars, you can have a cube of what has been called Montreal's failed dream. Number 2. Gate of Europe Towers. Here's another building, or rather two, which makes us think of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Gate of Europe Towers in Madrid, Spain. This pair of 374-foot or 114-meter-high towers was designed by the famous American architect Philip Johnson, and construction finished in 1996. But taking a look at the towers, you might be forgiven for thinking that something had gone horribly wrong. However, these are the first skyscrapers in the world with a built-in incline, leaning a stomach-churning 15 degrees. One look down from the top floor must be pretty dizzying. The towers have started something of a trend in skyscraper design, with 10 more inclined skyscrapers having been built since 1996. But these towers have become an iconic feature of the Madrid skyline and have shown up in several movies. But if you go up them, here's a tip. Don't look down. Number 1, Takasugian, Japan.
Wow.
So you're probably thinking that you've already seen the most dangerous tea house in the world already. Well, you're wrong, because the Japanese were not about to let their ancient enemy China take that prize. The Takasugian in Nagano Prefecture must be one of the craziest buildings on Earth, and its name in Japanese means tea house too high, which is a pretty good summary of this strange little building perched on top of 2 chestnut trees. The little tea house is an exercise in Japanese simplicity and minimalism. Built from simple materials and with sparse plaster walls, it only has space for 4 tea drinkers at a time. But any more than that, and you'd be worried the whole thing might come crashing down to earth. And if you're up there with 4 sumo wrestlers, you might be pretty nervous. Built by architect Terunobu Fujimori, it's meant as a place to sip tea, contemplate and feel a meditative calm come over you. But I'm not sure how relaxing the whole experience would be, especially if the wind starts blowing a little too hard. Which of these risky houses would you want to live in if you had to? Have you ever built a treehouse in a crazy place? Let us know in the comments below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.
Yes.
Yes. They're really, really crazy, guys. Wow. Yeah. You see those houses and you see how crazy some of them are and how difficult and dangerous it can be to get to them, right? So, yeah.
Parece até uma casinha da árvore.
Yeah. The last one, yeah, it's like a tree house. It's true, but it is a crazy tea house that the Japanese guys built. And it's very, very high. So now going to our page on the book, we have there, this is a very simple part because it shows us examples of constructions, okay, or houses. So here we have the pictures, as you can see here, all right? And we should complete the descriptions with the names in the box, places to live, and the locations, the places where they are. So here we have the dorm, cabin, farmhouse, the studio. Can you see that? Oh no, not yet. Now you can.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Can you see now?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you have to do? Let me explain again. You're going to complete the descriptions we have below with the words in the box, okay? So it's really simple. That's why I left this one to the last moment because it's very simple. You will just complete.
Isso vai ser o homework.
Sorry?
Isso vai ser o homework.
No, this is something that we can do quickly now. It's very easy. You just have to see the description and then you will complete with the word in the box. What kind of construction is this? For example, the first one. The first one, it's a beautiful townhouse in a quiet. So you're going to put the location. What's the name of this location? It's not a campus. What's the name of the first place?
Is mention.
In a quiet?
No. Beautiful townhouse in a quiet village.
Yes, very nice. So a village is like a small neighborhood. Okay, guys? Okay, so that could be considered a village. Now, number 2, take a look at this apartment building. So what can you call this kind of apartment here in the first box?
Uh, apartments, townhouse apartment.
A townhouse apartment. No, townhouse is number one. We used already. Townhouse was the first one. So I'm going to cut it because we have already used. Okay, look. Look, okay?
Downtown.
Downtown, here, look. Number two, we have to put the place to live, okay?
Então,
So we have two things to put here. In a quiet village. Okay, so village has already been used. All right, okay. Now, number two. Something apartment in a high-rise.
dorm.
Downtown. Downtown, okay. The second one, downtown. All right, that's possible. Okay, good. Let's put there. This is way too big, so let's minimize this. Okay. This one here can be village.
Old farmhouse.
Old farmhouse, okay.
On a campus.
On a campus. Campus.
Parece ser campo ou rancho.
Ranch.
So here we have old farmhouse on a ranch. On a ranch. Okay. What's the difference between campus and ranch, people?
Rancho é rancho e campus é campo.
So. A ranch is like a sítio in Portuguese, okay? Ranch, like that. Ranch and farm are very similar, okay? Campus is more at university. It's usually a residence for students. When when you go campus. No.
Campus é chácara, não, né? Ranch.
No. Yeah, can be. Campus is more for students. When you go to university, sometimes they have a campus for students to live in while they are studying. They can sleep in the campus. They can like, for example, there are some rooms, there are some apartments where they can stay during the period of the university. For example, usually the university duration is 3 or 4 years. So during 4 years, they live in the campus, okay? So the campus has some dorms or dormitories, apartments that students usually share. They share with other students, with roommates. So they usually have a roommate or two with whom they share the dorms. So that is a campus. Okay, guys. So here in Brazil, we don't have this tradition, but in the United States, most universities have a campus. Okay? All right, Julinha? Okay?
A Julinha tá calada.
Yes.
All right, so campus is not like in Portuguese. When we understand campo. No, it's not like that. Okay? So here, the best answer is farmhouse and ranch. And here, guys, number 2, we are talking about studio apartment. What is a studio studio apartment. A studio apartment is an apartment that has only one room, a big room. Okay, it's like a very modern room with only one bathroom and a kitchenette, like a kitchenette. It's usually divided by a counter. The counter divides the kitchen and the big living room, okay? And the living room has a division that separates the bedroom and the living room by itself. So it's like a studio. A studio is a place for a single person, a person who lives alone, all right? Let me show you a picture of a studio, just a second. So yeah, it's a small, not a small, it can be a big studio. It doesn't have to be small, okay? But it has only one room, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Look, let me show you guys. I know you have to go, but give me some time. Take a look. Can you see that? Let me show you.
Yeah,
Can you see now?
yeah.
Here you have some examples of studio apartments. So the studio apartment has the divisions. It's a big room only with the divisions. You have the bed, you have here the office, and you have the kitchen. Everything together, okay? That's a studio. You can have many different kinds of studio. Look, this is another one, okay? Look. It's a nice one. It's a nice studio. So it's usually an apartment for a single person, usually, okay? This can also be considered a studio. This is a studio in New York. Okay, look at the size of the studio. It's very big, okay? Look, I mean, a studio can be something small, but it can be something very comfortable, all right? It all depends. It all depends. It's one room. Yes, it's one room, but it can be a big room, right? And it can have all the comfort you need. Check out this studio. A studio is like a nice hotel room, for example. Okay, look, this is another studio. Okay. This is also in New York. Okay, so if you live in a studio in New York, you have a very good life. This is not bad. This is good. Okay. All right. So back to our book, just for us to finish that part here, let me show you that. Okay, so here they erased what we wrote. Number 2 is a studio apartment. You just have to put here a studio apartment in a high-rise downtown. Here, old farmhouse on a ranch, includes barn. Barn, guys, is the same as celeiro, okay? So if you want to write, barn is the same as celeiro, okay? Now, number 4. What is number 4? Look at the name.
Cabin.
Cabin, very good. Log cabin, okay? In the
Forest.
Look,
Forest.
we don't have forest. We have the word woods. Woods is similar. Okay?
Madeira.
Yeah, actually here, this is not Madeira. Woods here is the same as bosque.
Oh,
All right? The idea of woods is the same as bosque. So in the woods. So when they say here, look, log cabin in the woods, it means that it's a very private, house, okay? And very romantic. A house in the woods.
crepúsculo.
Yeah, that's right. Number 5. Look at number 5. What is number 5? Look at the size of the house.
Mansion.
Teacher, eu vou precisar sair da aula porque o meu pai tá me ligando.
Just a moment, Julinha. Let me take the picture. Just a second.
Ok.
Let me take the picture. Just a moment. We are just finishing, okay? Just a second. Let's take the picture here. Okay, I took the picture. All right, Julinha, thank you. Let me just finish the
Bye-bye.
last two. Bye-bye. See you next class.
Ok.
Do the homework, okay? See you. So the last one is large mansion in
the campus.
no, remember, campus is in the university.
Então, country.
In the country. Ah, very good.
Mas country não é país?
So country is país, but I can also use country to talk about interior. Okay? So country can also mean interior de país. For example, here in Rio, if I want to say Miguel Pereira, Pati, Vassouras.
Campo Grande.
Campo Grande, no. Campo Grande is in the city. Campo Grande is a neighborhood. It's not the country. Baixada, no. Baixada is not the country. But if you go, for example, to Volta Redonda, if you go to places like that, for example, if you go to Itatiaia.
Lá o interior, nem sabia.
Yes, Itatiaia is the country. If you go to Minas, if you go to Poços de Caldas, if you go to São Lourenço, places like this, Diamantina, Tiradentes, that's the country, okay? Tiradentes, Congonhas, Poços de Caldas, these places are in the country, okay? They are in the country. So here, a large mansion in the country, okay? Far from the nearest neighbors, okay? So no neighbors, no neighbors, no neighbors, because usually in the country, the places when they are very big like this, they are in a property, so there are no neighbors. The last one, people, look at the last one. Look, shared.
Campus.
No, the name of the house. Shared dorm. Okay. Shared dorm room on a university campus. Now it's okay. So shared dorm, the name of the establishment, the name of the construction. This is a dorm. So shared dorm or dorm room on a university campus. So here in Brazil, we don't have those things, but in England, in the United States, in Canada, they have university campuses where students usually live. All right, people, so this is it for today. I posted on Google Classroom some examples of places to live. So let me show you that. Let me share that with you. Yes, can you see that, people? Here, you can see the images probably because of the connection, but you can see later, okay? Types of houses. You have the images and you have the names, okay? The homework for next week, online practice, vocabulary 1 and 2. And you should also do this worksheet here. Use to multiple choice, which is about unit 11, okay? But for unit 12, it's vocabulary, online practice, vocabulary 1 and 2. All right, people. Okay, so we started our unit 12
Okay.
talking about
Very
houses. Yes, that was very good. Guys, it was amazing. Thank you very much for coming. Hope to see you again on Tuesday.
Have a nice week.
You too, guys. Be
Bem
careful,
diferente.
okay? Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye,
boys.
bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Pedro. Love you. Bye-bye.
Happy
Take care.
Father's Day.
Oh, happy Father's Day. Thank you. Oh, my